jerseys. It was crazy. Jerry Rice, bro. I was a Bay Area kid. He was a legend.
The record setter himself.
It was
two guys. I said, good luck. Marlo, he was there.
Nice.
Carmen Policy and chemistry, man. If Joe was a female, we would have dated because the chemistry was just that. And my wife always said that, I used to run routes in my sleep. When I was asleep. If you can't defeat one-on-one coverage and get open,
Man.
You've seen the highlights. You know the records. You've heard the GOAT debate 1,000 times. But there are stories about Jerry Rice that never made SportsCenter. Stories that happen behind closed doors, in locker rooms, in coaches' offices, on Super Bowl mornings, that the people who lived them barely talk about publicly. A coach plotting a fake play sequence just to force Rice to give a speech. A Super Bowl destroyed before kickoff by a starting center found in a ditch in Mexico. A defensive back who told Rice mid-game that he wasn't paid to tackle. And a training regimen so deep it wired itself into Rice's unconscious mind. The legends who were there are finally talking. And what they're saying will completely change how you understand the greatest receiver who ever played this game. Stay in, because the story in Block 5 is the one nobody is covering. And it changes everything.
So on an episode of New Heights with Travis and Jason Kelsey, Julian Edelman talked about taking your daughter to prom and trying on your Super Bowl rings without permission. Take a look.
I know nothing.
Did you actually take Jerry Rice's daughter to prom and try on a Super Bowl ring? Was that real?
She took me to her prom.
Ooh.
I did to wear those Super Bowl rings.
That's awesome.
Sorry, Jerry. I used to go into his office all the time. He was never home, so I'd be over there playing with balls. I saw jerseys. It was crazy. Jerry Rice, bro. I was a Bay Area kid. He was a legend.
The record setter himself.
It was so crazy, and they had such a cool house. Man. I remember
You're in a flashback right now.
First time I met him, dude came out yoked up, six-packed up with his chain on. He intimidated the out of me.
So Jerry, we just wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to Julian on this one. He said you showed us the chain. So
This wasn't just embarrassing. This was a calculated tribute. A full Joe DiMaggio-style post-game stage with a concert, a ceremony, the works. Mariucci had built the entire day around Rice. And then Terrell Owens caught 20 passes and broke Rice's own record right in front of him on his day. And what Jerry Rice said to Mariucci when he came off that field is something Mariucci hadn't told publicly until this moment.
Together and him being around, and he was exceptional, when he played ball and all of that. But my rings, I have always had my rings locked up. So unless my daughter knew the combination, there's
a little bit of cap in there, huh?
I'm just gonna leave it as is. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just that type of guy.
Yeah,
So, when you look back at the defensive backs that you played against, I know one guy that wasn't a problem for you. Who was that defensive back, Jerry, that you was like, man, I got to go up against this dude?
Deion Sanders, man. Deion Sanders. The battles that we had, back in the day, even when he was with Atlanta and also with Dallas, it was a mano. And I primed and I prepared myself for that. And, all the reps during the week, I wanted to take those reps. I wanted to be able to have a game plan going in. And if you're going to face the best, you better have a...
Rice told Mariucci to shove it. Refused 3 times. And the only reason Rice eventually gave that speech was because Mariucci ran a fake kneel-down play to manufacture enough crowd noise that Rice caved. The opposing coach, Dick Jaron, crossed the entire field afterward just to say, I get it. That story tells you everything about Rice's competitive ego, but it raises a bigger question. Where did that fire actually come from? Because it didn't start on Jerry Rice Day. It started with one man and one conversation that Rice never expected.
Feel comfortable. I had a game, I think it was the third game of the season. It was against the Rams. That was my coming out party. I think I had over 10 receptions. I had, a couple of touchdowns. I had over 200 yards or something like that. So he sent this trainer, someone from upstairs, down to the locker room to tell me to come upstairs. And I'm walking upstairs and I'm thinking I'm finally going to get Bill to say, hey, look, great job, pat me on my back. And I walked into the room and he looked at me and he told me he wanted more. And he never wanted you to feel comfortable, and he wanted you to continue to work hard. And I think that's the reason why we were able to win, so many games and so many Super Bowls.
How'd you take that coaching? How'd you take it?
I took it as, hey, he saw more in me. He wanted more.
Oh, you weren't like, you didn't have the, first blush to say, what are you talking about? Did you see what I just did? You didn't do anything?
You don't say that. No, you don't say that to the GOAT, man. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hey, the greatest coach of all time, you don't say that. You just take his words and you just try to use that as fuel. And I was walking back downstairs, and as I was
Walsh's superpower wasn't the West Coast offense. It wasn't the scripted plays. It was this. He never allowed anyone, not Rice, not Montana, not Ronnie Lott, to feel finished. And when Rice walked back downstairs and saw the greatest QB and the most feared safety on the planet walking up, he just said, good luck. But Walsh didn't just manipulate emotions. He rewired how his players thought about football itself. And the system he built, most people have never heard the full story of where it actually came from.
And when I would interview Jim Brown, I was scared. I'm not going to lie.
It's Mr. Brown, right? Mr. Brown.
Pardon me, Mr. Brown, right? I was scared. Yeah. There's one time when we were post-taping him after an NFL Total Access. We're on live, and he snuck out of the green room to say, when are we shooting? And I'm like, well, Mr. Brown, someone's going to get to you in a second. I'm like, don't blame me. And then there's this man, Jerry Rice, here on the Rich Eisen Show. Good to see you, Jerry Rice. How are you? Good to see you.
Hey, GOAT, what's going on, GOAT?
All right. It's great to see you, Jerry. And I'm sure you're jacked up for not just obviously being a Pro Bowl coach next week, but Rise of the 49ers is an upcoming 4-part docuseries on AMC Networks. And there was a premiere last night, and you and Montana Young and a whole bunch of people were out there, correct?
The chemistry Rice describes with Montana is almost supernatural. He didn't say Montana was better, technically. He said they were operating on the same frequency, to the point where Rice knew the ball was halfway through the air before his route was even finished. That is not football. That is something else entirely. But that same chemistry, that same preparation is what made a Super Bowl loss with the Raiders one of the most shocking collapses in NFL history. Because what happened the morning of Super Bowl 37 has never been properly explained. Until now.
I'm not doing it anymore. There's your catch. Take a knee, Jeff. Let's get out of here. And finally, we ended the game, and Dick Geron came across the field, and I did apologize. He goes, Mooch, I get it. Don't worry about it. I get it. And then Jerry did the speech. He did the speech. So I did the kneel down post pattern kneel down thing just to make Jerry do the speech, and he was very eloquent. And they carried him off, and the rest is history.
And then you went into
it against me.
And then you went into the locker room, and what'd you give him?
Give him a game ball. I gave him.
Their starting center, gone. Found in a ditch in Mexico on Super Bowl morning. The entire game plan that week was built to run the football. Without the center, it collapsed. And John Gruden, who had literally coached Rich Gannon, knew every throw he'd make before he made it. Rice still carries that one. Now, here's what makes Rice so different from every other legend you've ever heard talk about their career. Even off the field, even in his personal life, the competitiveness never stopped. And it created one of the funniest, most awkward moments in NFL history involving his own daughter.
And my wife always said that, I used to run routes in my sleep. when I was sleeping and I would run routes and I would actually be playing the game in my sleep. But yeah, just being able to run those routes, being able to be crisp and come out of it without chopping your steps.
Man.
So, like that shake route, I'm going to hit it at 8, then I'm going to sell that post 1, 2, 3, then I'm dropping my hips, then I'm coming out. I can set it high or I can set it low, and it's up to the quarterback to, basically get me the football. But it was just like doing a dance, man. I would just do it.
Man, you made that dude literally fall. You remember the one I'm talking about?
I know the one you're talking about. I think that game,
you got to see it though. You got to see it.
I think in that game, Demery was playing me one-on-one. I think I had 5 touchdowns in that game.
Damn.
And it was just like taking candy.
It sound like it.
His wife watched him run routes physically in bed while asleep. His body was so trained, it performed unconsciously. And in Atlanta, when a corner went man on Rice all game, Rice scored 5 touchdowns, then turned to Montana mid-drive and said, "I can't believe they're still doing this one-on-one." 5 touchdowns later, he was right. But there is one story that changes everything about how you understand Jerry Rice. Not the records, not the Super Bowls. It's the moment before any of it existed, when a rookie wide receiver from a tiny HBCU tried to conquer a hill in San Carlos, California, and failed.
Roger Craig took me under his wing, and he took me to the hill. And I had never felt that type of pain. I mean, and I had to endure it. I had to try to get to the top. And the first time I tried to get to the top, I couldn't do it. And I decided not to go back the next couple of days. Then I felt like, you know what, I got to be able to conquer that hill with Roger. And he's the one that really introduced me to that hill. And that became part of my regiment. And I think that's the reason why I was so successful in the fourth quarter.
Okay. So, yeah, he's the one who, the famed hill that you would always run up and train. He's the one who introduced you to that.
Yeah, he did. And hey, the first time I tried it, it beat me. It broke me down. And but I had to go back and I had to conquer. And throughout my career, I had to conquer a lot of things because I also, I never felt like I really belonged in the NFL. I felt like I had to earn it. And I was going to do whatever I had to do to try to earn that. And I always just kept pushing myself hard. And then I get a chance to play with the greatest dynasty ever and all of these great players. So it was amazing.
Yeah, I do have to.
Roger Craig introduced the hill. Rice failed it, stayed away for days, then went back and conquered it and made it his. And when Rich Eisen asked him when he finally stopped feeling like he didn't belong in the NFL, Rice looked at him and said, "Still till today. The greatest of all time." Still not convinced? Jerry Rice just said "still till today." And that one sentence tells you more about greatness than any highlight reel ever could. Drop a comment. What's the story from this video you had absolutely never heard before? Subscribe, because the legends are still talking, and we are just getting started.